Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Colts fans. Whenever you're listening to this Colts-Rams preview, we love having you with us. Joining me today is Sam Frick of ANEC Sports up in the Fort Wayne area. Sam has been a contributor to the Central Indiana Sports Report and is filling in as our Colts guy, but we are looking for a Colts contributor. As well, we're looking to add Ball State and Butler at the start of the basketball season. So if you know anyone who is passionate about Butler, Ball State, or the Colts and loves to talk about them, please contact us or have them contact us at 502-533-3161. We will be back on Sunday to react to what we hope is another Colts win. And then please join us on Wednesday for the Colts Report, where we analyze the previous week. And if you subscribe, you won't miss any of it. Producer Susie was unavailable to do the introduction, so here I am, your host, Greg Mingel, with Sam Frick on the Colts-Rams Preview. Welcome, Colts fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for our Week 4 Colts-Rams Preview. I am joined on the phone by a little under the weather Sam Frick, so please excuse him if he sounds a little off. Not much, just a touch. We will forgive him. Welcome, Sam. Can you believe we're talking about a 3-0 Colts team heading to Los Angeles?
I'm still beside myself that this team is 3-0 for the first time since the Super Bowl team from 2009. We were just a month ago talking about the Colts, talks of potentially going to the lottery, and everything was all doom and gloom with Daniel Jones starting. And while Daniel Jones is undefeated as the Indianapolis Colts so far, he has no interceptions so far this year. He's only been sacked twice through week 3. This hasn't happened since 2022. Can you believe that?
It's incredible. I mean, they've done some things that no team in NFL history has done. They have the fewest punts through 3 games in NFL history. Insane.
That's something Adam Central would normally do in high school football.
That's
so
right.
This is definitely insane.
Yeah, that's not an unusual stat maybe for a high school team, but for an NFL team, by the way, an NFL team quarterbacked by Daniel Jones, a guy that I don't think anyone wanted to be our quarterback.
Nope. It was not on anybody's radar.
I think Colts fans were disappointed when they made that decision, and I'm still a little disappointed they made that decision because of what it meant for a potential high-ceiling quarterback in Anthony Richardson. But as we talked about on the Colts Report this week, it's pretty obvious that Daniel Jones has franchise quarterback abilities.
Yeah, in terms of what he can do as a quarterback, I mean, he's not the most talented quarterback out there, but he does his job well. And I think the difference we've seen from Daniel Jones compared to what he's ever had in New York is he finally has an offensive line that can block and protect it, which is something he never had in New York. Regardless of Daniel Jones' inefficiencies, he never had that type of support in New York. And that's been the one thing that the Colts can say right now that they can be proud of is their offensive line has done its job well. Daniel Jones has performed to what we hope and even beyond that up to this point. And then Jonathan Taylor, I think, has exceeded expectations at running back. On top of the fact, we've had the combination of Pittman and Pierce doing their jobs at wide receiver.
And that leads us perfectly into the Los Angeles Rams, who have a nice offense, Sam, but I want to start with their defense, which has been really good until the second half on Sunday. But it's a defense that has a lot of playmakers, a defense that can stop the run. And also, last week we talked about Kenny Moore possibly being the best nickel back in the NFL. And if he's not, it's a man named Quentin Lake for the Rams, an incredibly, at least through 3 games, playmaker who just seems to be around the ball at all times and is one of the highest graded players in the NFL to this point.
Yeah, take away that second half of last week against Philadelphia where they coughed up a 19-point lead to the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champions of all teams. The LA Rams have a really stout defense. It feels like the Rams always keep stockpiling really good defensive playmakers every year. Whether it's up front or in the secondary, the Rams always seem to find somebody to step up in those key moments here. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for the Colts up to this point, is that despite our 3-0 starts, we haven't really played anybody that's up to the par of the Los Angeles Rams defensively up to this point. And I think that is where I think we're going to be tested this week for sure. And certainly Daniel Jones is going to have to once again step up this week, because the fact the Rams defense can make plays in big moments.
And he's going to have to watch out, like I said, for Quentin Lake, but also Jared Verse, who just want to remind Colts fans that the Colts passed on last year and took Latu instead as a pass rusher, and Verse so far has been far better, I think you can say. Just throwing that out there. And also, they stopped the run. They've done a really good job stopping the run. Sam, I said on the Colts report this week that I think the Colts might have the best combo of guards in the NFL, and Bortolini's pretty good at center, although I think that's still up in the air, but I think they might have the best pair of guards in the NFL, and they're going to need to. Poona Ford, maybe the best run stopper in the NFL.
That has to be key in games like this against the Rams, because the Rams obviously have a really stout defense. We've seen that for quite a few years now with the Los Angeles Rams under Coach McVay. And so the Colts offensive line has to perform well once again. I would say, to me, that's probably been, other than Daniel Jones and JT, the offensive line, I think, has been the MVP of our season up to this point.
And you might be able to make an argument that Daniel Jones and JT have been the MVPs because of the offensive line. I think the offensive line has been that good.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. For the most part, I would agree with that.
And even more so, Sam, I think that the coaching has been really good. The game preparation has been fantastic. I don't think in-game decisions have been great all the time. But the game preparation, the game plan has been top-notch from Steichen and his staff. But he's also now going up against arguably the best mind in the NFL right now, you think, McVay?
It's right there. It's right there. Coach Sirianni of the Eagles is up there as well. It's a pretty debatable conversation that to be had. But I think the thing is when Shane Steichen finally got a quarterback that best fits his style, I think you're finally seeing all the play calling really start to round into form here. And I think that's why when you're seeing the success of all these offensive players for the Colts, I think a lot of it stems from the fact they have a quarterback that best fits what Shane Steichen's vision is with the Colts. It's just like in basketball. If you don't have a guard that best divisions your style of pace on the offense, nothing's going to gel. And I think you're seeing that right now with the Colts. At the top of healthy front line, you have a quarterback that understands the system much better than what we've had in recent years. I think that has been a success so far. But again, with the schedule getting tougher, and we talked about how the start of the season needed to be strong, because as you get into the halfway mark of the season and beyond, the schedule is going to get a lot tougher for the Colts. And so this is going to be that first marquee big game for the Colts to see, is that 3-0 start legitimate, or is it a fluke by some people? I mean, here's the thing, Greg. Like, teams that start the season 3-0, 75% of them make the playoffs. There's only been 12 teams that ever finished the season below 500 with a 3-0 start. So this is a mark that typically favors a team like the Colts or the Bills. But this week's one of those games where the Colts are going to have to show that they belong with some of the better teams in the league.
And I think they did that against the Broncos, and I don't think there's any doubt they're the best team in the AFC South. I think they have the best roster, the best complete team in the AFC South. I think Jacksonville could put something together and challenge them, but if they do, I still think the Colts are a playoff team. I don't think there's any doubt they're one of the best 7. I think they proved that against Denver. I think they proved that last week in their first game on the road. Not that the Titans are good, but this is a whole different thing. Going to Los Angeles to face a team that almost everyone thinks could very well be the Super Bowl champion at the end of the year. They're one of the best 6-7 teams in the NFL, and they have some injury concerns. I understand they're not quite what they're going to be. But if this is a game that you can win, on the road, it's huge.
Oh, yeah, massive confidence booster because keep in mind only the second road game of the season as well. So that's a long road trip for the Colts to go to Los Angeles, play against the Rams team that just 3 or 4 years ago they won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford, and we know Matthew Stafford. I would say at this point a Hall of Fame quarterback in his own right for the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, yes.
It's a team with a good resume.
And we talked about how good the Rams defense. Now, of course, we need to talk about their offense. And you just talked about Stafford. What makes that offense go, it's pretty certain now, is Puka Nacua. And what stops receivers like that typically is Kenny Moore. It looks like Kenny Moore might not be available.
Yeah, we've been hearing Achilles injury, which we've heard Achilles, we've heard calf injury. It's pretty vague wording in terms of what it is for sure, but they're being very precautious with Kenny Moore, and you would expect that early in the season. You want to make sure Kenny Moore is at his best when we need him the most towards the end of the season. The good thing about starting the season 3-0 is that we have the affordability to allow Kenny Moore to get the rest he needs. Right. And so even though Indy's had a history in recent years of having pretty big injuries like this, it's good to have a start like this to allow Kenny Moore to get the rehab he needs. And that way other guys can step in and fill those gaps if needed. Now, that being said, the biggest concern I have with the Colts coming into this game is going to be how can they stop this offense of the Los Angeles Rams without Kenny Moore? This secondary without Kenny Moore, not very deep, and especially in the nickel position, it's pretty thin right now, Greg, for that nickel position. And then our front line, especially in the linebacker position, is pretty lackluster in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think for me with the Colts, they're going to have to make sure that they can limit those possessions of the Los Angeles Rams and stay out of the penalty surge, if you would. Yeah. Stay disciplined and not allow the Rams to get extra downs because of bad penalties.
And hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns because they're going to get some yards.
Correct. They can hold them to 3 points. That would be huge.
And we all know about the passing game of the Rams. They also have a really good running game. Kyron Williams is one of the top running backs in the league. Blake Corum, a young second-year running back out of Michigan, has had a really nice season. Clearly, this offense is going to be tough to stop.
Yeah, they're fast. They're athletic. They're going to be they're definitely going to be a tough team to slow down. The thing about the Rams is about containing the Rams charge, not so much stopping them. Can we just contain them enough to get some type of momentum here? Right now, the Rams are about 3.5-point favorites. That's about right for a game like this right now with the 3-0 Colts team. But the key thing right now is, can we limit the damage of the Rams offense? I think that's going to be key here on Sunday.
And can you get a pass rush? They need to get a pass rush. They've had almost no pass rush, and they're still 3-0, which tells you kind of how good the defensive backfield's been. A lot of that's been Kenny Moore, but I think they'll probably be okay without him. I trust Lou Anarumo to put a game plan together to be able to at least slow them down and outscore them. I have a feeling we're going to see some good things.
Yeah, I like where things are at our coaching staff right now, especially compared to what we've seen for the past 4 years. I definitely feel like we made a good decision with our defensive coordinator. So I'm going to give him the trust that he's going to be able to adjust.
All right, Sam, for the last 13 minutes, you and I have been talking about how good the Rams are, but now it's time to make a prediction. Is this the Colts' first loss of the year?
That's a tough one because if you had told me last month, I said, yeah, I would say it's a sure bet they're going to lose. However, the game, to me, this game, and this is going to sound like a broken record, but it's all going to hinge down to, are we going to see the Daniel Jones that we've seen the first 3 weeks of the season, or are we going to see the Daniel Jones that we've all come to know Daniel Jones? And there are haters of Daniel Jones that are just chopping their lips for the first bad game of the season. Right?
Can't wait.
And so I'm really concerned about this game for Daniel Jones because we know the Rams, we know they have the athletes, we know they have the defense to cause problems for Daniel Jones. I worry about a potential setback in this game. So I don't know. Is it going to be a bad game for Daniel Jones? I don't know. Maybe not. But is this one of those games where Daniel Jones perhaps doesn't play at the level we are accustomed to seeing? Maybe. So I'm a little bit torn here. I think it's going to be a competitive game early on, but to me, I think it's going to come down to defensively. Can we hold down the Rams offense long enough to give the Colts momentum offensively to build some drives and really put pressure on the veterans of the Rams defensive view? So I still would take the Rams, but it's probably going to be closer than what I anticipated a month earlier.
All right, Daniel Jones, Sam and I are asking you to prove it to us on Sunday. And I think he's going to. I don't necessarily think he's going to have a great game, but I think they can go in this game. And I'm taking the Colts. I'm taking the Colts late in the game, like the Broncos.
Okay. That's fair enough. The Colts are a solid enough team. I feel like they could definitely win this game. I just think to me, I just have a lot of question marks defensively right now, especially without getting more potentially for the game. That's just another wrinkle to those questions on defense. Again, I feel like I'm going to say this over and over again, but we definitely need to make an upgrade on defense if we're going to be a serious playoff team.
No doubt about it. And if I was evaluating the game not as a fan, Sam, I'd probably agree with you. Mine is more of a feeling. It's more of a feeling that this is a game the Colts are going to win, and they're going to come out of there, and they're going to kind of be the talk of the NFL.
I think they already been the talk of the NFL. I don't think anybody expected this.
And no one will really expect what's going to happen on Sunday if the Colts win.
That's true. That would definitely surprise some people.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, thank you.
Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love